Hello and welcome to this new video in which we are going to take a quick look at this motherboard. Now this motherboard, as you can see here from its name, is ASRock, which is the company that manufactured this motherboard, and the number is G41M VS3 or version 3. Now as you can see, we have other information right here, like this motherboard supports dual channel DDR3 RAM at a baud rate of 1333, and we have other specifications. Now let's take a quick look at this motherboard. First, right here we have the memory slots. As you can see, if you click these two, the memory will pop up, and this is the memory that is installed on this motherboard. As you can see, we have memory on both sides, and as you can see, this is the DDR3 1333 2GX16 UDIMM. Now I won't explain everything here because all of this will be explained in the coming lectures, but what you need to know is that this is a DDR3 memory, and as you can see, the label is still on it. A-Data is the manufacturing company, and this is the slot that you need to take good care of. Depending on the type of memory, there might be one slot, two slots, and the location of the slot might be different. This is also explained in the memory section of this course. Now, when you want to place your memory, you need to make sure that these clicks are opened, and make sure that you are aligning the notch with the place here in your memory slot. Just click it, press down, and as you can see, now the memory is placed. Now to remove it, click away and they will be removed. Now this is the memory. Let's take a quick look at the main component here, which is the CPU. This is the fan, and this is basically how the CPU is cooled down, and it takes out the heat from this heat dissipation aluminum. And we have a dedicated section in this course that covers this heat sink. As you can see, there are different types, and the most common ones nowadays are liquid cooling systems. And as you can see, this is the 12 volt DC Intel fan, and this is the heat dissipator, and it's made of aluminum, and it has this shape to make sure that it dissipates heat. Now let's go to the important part, or the main part on our motherboard, which is the CPU. As you can see, this is an Intel Pentium 4 CPU, and you can see the number. Here it is. It's 3 GHz CPU and 2 mega 800.06, which is the L1, L2, and L3 caches, and they are explained in our course in the CPU section. And if you want to take out the CPU, you just need to click here, this clip, and move it away. As you can see, it has this notch to place it down. Now click here to move it away, and as you can see, here is our CPU, and this is the CPU slot, and we explained it in details in the CPU section. Now this is the place where CPU is placed, and this is the CPU itself. As you can see, it doesn't have any pins. These are only dots, copper dots, so that it can connect the CPU with these dots on the board. And this structure is basically used by Intel. AMD has a different structure, which will be explained in the coming lessons. But what you need to know at this point is that this is an LGA 775 socket for Intel Core to Extreme, Core to Quad, Core to Duo, Pentium, Dual Core, Celeron, and it supports all of these CPUs. And you can simply put your CPU right here, and to know that you placed your CPU in the right direction, there is a notch here, as you can see, this notch. So you won't be able to miss it. If you try to place it like here, it won't stick. As you can see, we have a little bit, as you can see here, so it won't stick on place. So you need to place it in the right direction, like that. Now once you place it, you need to cover it using this hood, and make sure that the CPU is in place by looking at this angle. As you can see here, it's in place. Now simply click here, move this away, and then clip it. Now these 4 openings are for the heatsink. As you can see, this heatsink, it can easily be placed like that, and you can hold them down in place. Now this is another heat dissipator, and right here we have the SATA connectors. Here you can connect your hard drives, your CD-ROM, and other components that support SATA. And as you can see, the naming is SATA 1, SATA 3, SATA 2, and SATA 4. So this is where you place your hard drives and CDs. Now, if you have an old hard drive with an IDE connection, you can connect it here. And as you can see, these are the main ports on our motherboards. Now, as you can see, this is where you connect your audio input and output, and this is where you connect your Ethernet cable. These are the USB ports. These are USB ports as well. This is the VGA, and modern motherboards comes with a display port and HDMI port. Now this one right here is where you place your mouse and keyboard. Old mouse and keyboards used to be placed using this connector. Now it's called a PS2 connector, and as you can see, everything is labeled in this motherboard. On this motherboard, this is PS2 KBMS. Now, as you can see, we have capacitors, we have different electronic components in this motherboard, and most of them you won't use, or you don't have to deal with, because these are for handling the internal operation. But what you need to deal with is the sockets. Now here we have the main power socket, and your power supply must have a connector that matches this one. And here you can place your CPU fan. Now the CPU fan, usually this one, comes with a connector. This is the connector. And in order to place it, you need to make sure that you have the right direction. And let's take a quick look. As you can see here, this is the CPU fan area, and you can simply place it like that. As you can see, it goes inside the notch. Now if you try to place it the other way around, you might break it, and it might be placed, but you will burn the CPU fan. And make sure to follow the guides. This notch is a guide, and it has the same notch here. So before connecting a component, make sure that you are connecting it in the right direction. Now, these are the main components on our motherboard, and this is a quick look before we dive in and show you the theoretical information that you need to link with the practical information that we are explaining here. This is the CMOS battery, and it's basically a battery that holds the data that we don't want to lose when the power goes off. And there are other connectors for the power pins, and here we have, as you can see, USB connectors. So if you have a USB, let's say USB port on your case, you can connect the connectors for the USB port here. And if you have another fan that you need to connect, you can connect it here using these two or these three pins, sorry. Now, again, it has a notch that you need to follow. And here we have the audio, HD audio connectors. Now you can place the HD audio connectors right here, depending on how many channels you have in your case. And this is the PCI port. As you can see, it's a white port, and it's explained in details in the coming sections. And this is another port, and these ports are usually used to connect extra modules. Here we have a graphic card, as you can see, and this graphic card is connected on one of these sockets. Now, if you bring your graphic card, you need to make sure, if you look, you can see that the graphic card can easily be connected on this port, and I can easily place it. Now, the graphic card is connected. I'm sure that you can see. I will disconnect it again, but as you can see, the notch is in place. This is how you can easily add an external graphic card to your board using this port, and I will explain the graphic card in a minute. But these are basically two sockets that you can use to add expansion cards, like graphic card, let's say Ethernet card, wireless card, and other stuff. Now, that's it. This is the memory, this is the CPU, these are the expansion cards, this is where you place your SATA, and this is where you place your IDE hard drive, and this is the power connector. And we also have here the ports for your motherboard, different ports, as you can see. Now, again, this is an Intel CPU that has LGA socket, and it's explained in the CPU section. Now, let's take a quick look at different types of memory. This is, as you can see, we have more than one memory type. This is a 2 GB memory made by Samsung, and this is a laptop memory. I think that you can see this memory. Now, as you can see, it has memory on both sides, and you can get more information by looking up the serial, and the baud rate is 800 megahertz. Now, this is another memory. It's Kingston from another company, and this heatsink is for cooling down the memory, and it doesn't have memory ICs on this side. Now, as you can see, from this, we don't have a lot of information. We just have few numbers. So you can look up, it's made in the USA, and you can look up this serial number to get more information using the datasheet. Now, this is the third memory, which is the ADATA. And as you can see, they have different sockets or different notch. This has one notch, this has two notches, and this one has one notch too. So this can easily be placed inside a laptop. Okay. And different type of memories are explained in the memory section of this course. So go check it out to know more about different sockets and different notches and different types of memory, which one is right for you. This was a quick practical introduction section just to get you started with the motherboard, how it looks, and the different components that we have on this motherboard. Now, this motherboard has these components, but other motherboards have different components as well. So you shouldn't just stick with this motherboard. Go and check out your own motherboard, and if there is an element that you don't know, you can share a screenshot and we can help you know it. If you have any question, please ask in the Q&A board. If there is anything that is not clear, go to the specific section that is that talks about this part. We have a section for the CPU, section for the memory slots, section for the slots, PCI and expansion slot. We also have a section for the fan, as you can see. And all of this is explained in details. That's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching. This is Ashraf from Educational Engineering Team.